In Puerto Rico, 85% of the people there are Roman Catholic. But sadly, a lot of people, most of the people, do not understand what it means to be a follower of Jesus. The same is true here in the United States. Not everybody understands what it means to be a follower of Jesus. And so I want you to think today, as we've gone through John chapter 10, on this simple idea. Jesus knows you, yes, but the more important question is, do you know Him? Sometimes we base our faith, our religion, our thoughts about religion, no matter what your religion may be, we base it on our perspective and what we want and what we crave and what we hope for. And we have this idea of Jesus built up in our minds, or whatever God you may happen to have, about what that means or looks like. Jesus came to truly free us from ourselves. Some of us may think at times, well, if Jesus really loved me, then my life would be better. If Jesus really cared for me, my life would be better. But sometimes life is challenging, and sometimes life is difficult. And I want you to see today that what Jesus is saying in John 10, the entirety of the chapter, is that He came to truly give us an abundant life. But that abundant life isn't what most of us think it is. It's not about our health. It's not about our relationships. It's not about our bank account, our retirement account. It's not about our children or grandchildren, our husband, our wife. It's not even about our church. It's about your walk with a God, the God, who not just saves your soul, but is with you on the worst days, the best days, and every day in between. He walks with you. He knows you. And He knows what you need. And He knows what is best, even if you don't understand it. So the question I want you to ask is, do I trust Jesus completely? Completely. Not just a little bit, but completely. I've seen some little clips lately about children. Children are wonderful, aren't they? They're wonderful. There are some children that when we see them, we think, oh my gosh, what a blessing. And then there are those kids, you're like, why? What happened? And when we see, we wonder, you ever seen a kid pitch a temper tantrum? Oh my, yeah, that's fun, isn't it? I've seen it in public a lot. I've seen them throw themselves down on the ground and roll and thrash and wail, and their mom or dad's like, oh, you don't need to do that. Well, sometimes we're like that little kid throwing a temper tantrum. So don't be too hard on the kid or the mama or dad. Understand that we all have that moment where we get mad at God and we throw ourselves, because we're on this journey. If you're a Christian, you're on the journey eventually to heaven. But so many of us are missing out on the now. That abundant life now. And so I want to encourage you today to just be reminded, Jesus came to give you an abundant life that has more to do with your heart, your mind, your soul, rather than all of the other stuff that we think's important. So John 10, verses 11 through 15 read this way. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who is not the owner of the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and is not concerned about the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know my own, and my own know me. Even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Now, in these few verses, remember the context of this story. In chapter 9, Jesus met a man who had been born blind. And this man who had been born blind, when he met Jesus, Jesus asked him, "What do you want?" Jesus asked me and you the same question. What do you want? Now, we don't always know what we want. We think we do. And some of the things we do want, we don't really need. But he asked the man, "What do you want?" And the man said, "I want to see." So Jesus healed him. A conversation kind of happened because this man met the Pharisees and they kicked him out of the synagogue. They basically said, "If you believe Jesus is the one, then you can't be one of us." They kicked him out. So he didn't understand. And when Jesus came back later, he saw this man and he asked him, "Do you know who I am?" The man eventually said, "I believe you are right. You are the one. You healed me. You are God." He didn't use all those words, but he expressed faith in his heart and he changed. Jesus made a point to tell the Pharisees, those religious leaders and rulers, you think you understand, but you don't. He was blind and now he sees the truth. You are still blind and you can't see the truth. And then Jesus begins this long conversation in John 10. And we just read this part. Jesus reminded them and us that He is the good shepherd. Meaning He gives us what is good. We may wonder, God, why is my life not always good? Your life is actually better than you realize. You only have to take a few steps into certain parts of the United States, Carrollton, Bremen. You can go overseas if you want to as well, and you can see that we, for the most part, have it better than other people. But did you know and understand that even when we don't see that, who do we blame? God. Jesus. And so when we hear Jesus say, "I'm the good shepherd, and I am going to bless you, and I am going to fill you, and I'm going to give you," and then He goes on and He talks about the bad shepherds, the ones who aren't really shepherds. And He says, they don't care about you. They don't really care about you. They only want what they want. Now, here's the point Jesus wants. This is what I want you to see. I don't want to focus on those guys today. I want to focus on Jesus today. Jesus said, "I am the good shepherd." He is the good shepherd. He came to give you His best, but not everything you may want, but to give you everything you need. And He said, "I know my sheep." Now, the Greek language here basically says it this way. I knew you before you were born. I know you now. I will know you every day of your life, and I will know you through eternity. It is an ongoing continuum of Jesus knowing everything about you, your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, your weaknesses, your struggles, all of it. He knows you completely. And then He added, "And my own know me." You see, it's important for us to not know about Jesus, but to know Him here in our mind and here in our heart. To truly trust Him and to truly say, I don't have all the answers. I don't understand everything. I can't figure it all out. But I know You made a promise to me that you would always love me, that you would always provide, that you would always care, that you would do all of these for me, and I will simply trust you. Even when it's tough. Even when I don't understand. Even when it doesn't make sense. Even when there are things I cannot understand or explain, I simply trust you. And then Jesus said, I know you and you know me if you are my follower, just as I and the Father know each other. See, that is an intimate relationship that most of us gloss over. That most of us don't dig deep enough to fully understand and appreciate. And he reminded us in the last verse that I read, Jesus, unlike those false shepherds, he said, I lay down my life for you. Now, I know a lot of people. I've met a lot of people. I've met people who are just great, good, all-around folks. I've visited people in jails before. I visited people in their homes as a hospice chaplain, as a pastor, just in general. I've been in some really nice houses, and I've been in some houses you better watch where you're walking. And in all of these houses and in all of these people, there's one thing that is common with all of us. We all have sinned against God. I've met great, loving, gracious people, and I've met the poorest of the poorest who are still great, loving, gracious people. I've met people who were in jail. I have visited people in the jail and listened to their story. I've met people who said, I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know why I'm here. And I've met those who knew why they were in jail. See, here's the thing about all of us. Jesus knows you to the every detail about you. He knows you. You can't fool Him. You can probably fool me. I can't do simple math sometimes. It happens. There are times when I have written something and read it, and there's an error in it, in some cases multiple errors, and I didn't catch it. You see, I am not perfect, and neither are you. We're all imperfect. We all have our failures. And so Jesus knows you, and He knows everything about you. Everything. He knows your greatest strengths, because He's the one that gave them to you. And He knows your every weakness. You know what our weaknesses should remind us of? I am not God. I can't do it all. I'm not supposed to do it all. I can only do what I can do through the help and grace of God Himself. Jesus knows all about this. He knows every detail of your life. He knows your fears. Now, some of you may be saying, I ain't scared of nothing. Well, you probably are. And there's something you're afraid of, something you just don't want to face. There may be something in your life that you doubt. You may wonder, God, why have you not answered this prayer? I've been praying for this, and you fill in your blank of how many years. He knows your fears. He knows your doubts. He understands even your own blindness. We're all blind to something. Let me illustrate it this way. I am an amazing husband. If I were not married right now, and God opened the door for me to marry another, I'm your man, ladies. Now, some of you are going, he's stupid. He has lost it. I'm using that extreme illustration to say to you, there are people that think that of themselves. They toot their horn, they pat themselves on the back, and they are blind to their own pride, their own shortcomings. Now, I know I'm not that kind of husband. I'm not. Not because my wife has told me, but because I know my own stuff. And here's the thing about my stuff, and it's the same with you and your stuff. We all have got stuff that's not right. We are blind to some of the things that we think we're not. And it's hard for us to open our eyes to it. We don't want to see it. And so the false shepherds, the false religious people, all of these other people whisper in our ears and elevate your pride, my pride, and tries to say, you're not that bad. And you may not be that bad, but you're not perfect. You've got blind spots. In that moment, while working in the backyard, and I'd cut that one root out and walked back to the pile of the pile of rocks and stuff. And I was walking back with the bucket and then forgot about the hole I had just dug out and stepped into it, and the ankle rolled. And at that moment I realized, that was not good. You see, I was aware of the hole. I knew the hole was there. But in that instant and in that moment, my sight was blinded to it. And that's what happens to all of us spiritually, physically, emotionally, relationally. Jesus knew I was going to step in that hole. And there's a part of me that could have said, it'd been nice, Lord, if you'd have said, don't step in the hole. That if He just whispered in my heart, don't step in the hole, you're coming close to the hole, He let me walk in that hole to humble me and to remind me I am not all powerful. See, our blind spots, He knows about them. And He is in the process of whittling that stuff out of our life, our blindness. Not only does He know all of those things, He knows what we hope for. What do we hope for? If you're married, you hope for a wonderful day with your husband or wife. That's a valid point, don't you think? Husbands, you should nod right now. That you are able to please your wife, that you are able to bring a smile to her face, that you don't say something dumb. You need that, right? Ladies, you're not off the hook either. Oh, ladies, y'all, Jesus knows your hopes. No, I better not say that. Now y'all are wondering what I'm thinking, right? I just hope that man will listen to me. No, He knows your hopes. Even if your hope isn't founded in what He wants to do in your life, He knows about your hopes. You may hope if you're sick, you'll get better. You may hope your bank account will increase. You may hope that you will grow old and happy with your children and grandchildren. You may hope that you'll not lose your mind to dementia. You may hope all of these things. Jesus knows all about your hopes and your dreams. And He walks with you. But all of this is what He knows of you. You see, there are people I meet that don't know Jesus. They know about Jesus. They know that He is in the Scripture. There are some people that say, yeah, I believe he was an historical figure, but I don't believe he is God. There are others who say, yeah, I believe he is God, but they don't worship him and bow before him as if he, or not as if, as he is God. What Jesus said to this crowd and to us, I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. You see, ownership, or in the family, in the fold. If you really want the abundant life Jesus was talking about and is still offering today, it is not enough that he knows you, because he does know everything about you. What matters is that you know him. That you know him. And it's not simply a head knowledge. Yes, I know who Jesus is. I know who the President of the United States is. I know who the governor of Georgia is. I know what the capital of the United States is. I know about all of the history, or not all the, I know a lot of U.S. history. I know about other things in this world. But I've never met a president of the United States face to face. I've never sat at the table with any president of our country. I've never had to be in the room even close to a person of such high rank. They're inaccessible to people like me. That doesn't make me a bad person. It just means, that's just not who I am. But think about it. The creator of everything, the one who created this earth and everything in the universe beyond what we can even see, became human, died on a cross because of my sin and your sin, was buried dead and raised from the dead, because he knows me and he wants me to know him. Jesus has the time to spend with me because he knows me intimately and invited me into an intimate relationship with him. And the same for many of you as well. He wants you to know him. And he said, when we are in this relationship, we know each other and we walk together. We enjoy and experience life together. You see, this is about a relationship, not knowledge. A lot of us are in relationships. December the 15th, 1979. It's an important date for me. It was on that date, December the 15th, 1979, that I was standing in the church, County Line Baptist Church, Douglasville, Georgia, sort of in this little spot, not here, but there. And I looked down to the back, and in walked Rhonda in her thrift store bought wedding gown. It cost her, I think, $15 or maybe $20. We went high on the hog. She walked down, words were said, we took each other's hands, and we professed our love to one another in front of not just the preacher and our family, but we professed our love to God and to everybody there. And we made a vow that we would stay married until death do us part. Yep. Till death do us part. It was a public event. It wasn't private. We declared our love for each other. And for those of you who follow Christ, those of you who have been born again, you publicly professed your love, devotion, and your surrender to Him. And then you later were baptized. You showed the world, those around you, that you had invited and professed that you were not just in a head relationship with Jesus, but you were devoting your life to Him and you were baptized. You said, I don't want to just know about Him. I want to be in a relationship with Him. For me, that day was in July, the first Saturday of July, 1977. I just graduated high school. And on that night, someone asked me a very simple question. Are you going to heaven when you die? And I knew the answer was, I know about Jesus. I know that He died on the cross. I know about Jesus, but He wasn't living in me and through me. My body was not His temple. My body was not filled with His indwelling presence. And I knew that if I were to die that night, heaven would not be my eternal home. I'd been under conviction before. In other words, I knew what I should do, but it was still here in my head. It was knowledge. But on that night, I bowed on my knees and I asked God. I didn't know what to say. I just said, God, change me. I believe and trust in You. And it was at that moment the Spirit of God cleansed me of all my sin and filled me. And I was born again. Born again. Not just filled with the knowledge, but I was born again. I entered on that night into a relationship with the Creator of everything. And many of you have as well. At that moment, I became not just a follower of Jesus, but I was freed from the bondage of sin itself. Now, guess what? I still sin. I'm still a sinful man. Every follower of Jesus is still sinful. But we have been released from the bondage. We are free to serve Him. And so we understand, even in those days when I have doubts, I ask Jesus, I'm doubting this. I'm wondering about this. But because of relationship, because He knows me, and I am still getting to know Him, the answers come easier. Because you see, as I shared last week, for every person who is a believer, you always have the presence of God, not around you, but in you. Scripture says that our body is the temple of God. He is indwelling us. His presence is always with you. And even when you feel you can't go on, His power enables you to do more than you ever thought you could do. To endure more, to suffer more, to accomplish more. Not for your benefit, but for His benefit. For His kingdom's sake. And on those days when you are like, I don't understand, this makes absolutely no sense, God, when you are in a relationship with Him, He knows you, and as you are getting to know Him on those difficult days, He gives you His peace, telling you it's going to be all right. He may whisper in your ear, my grace is sufficient. You don't need what you think you want. Learn to let it go. Learn to lean into my grace, and I will give you my peace. Most of us spend a lifetime struggling with these ideas. Here's the way Paul said it. Philippians chapter 3. He said, I want to know Christ. And know means not just hear, but in experience. I want to know who Jesus is. I want to know what He did. I want to know what He said. And I want to experience life as He is always ever present with me. I want to know Him, and I want to experience His mighty power in me. When Jesus defeated death in the grave, that resurrection power resides in every follower of Christ Himself. On those days when you think, God, you're not with me, you've abandoned me, you've walked away, He is always with you. And we just kind of kick Him out of the house with our mind. We just turn Him off, so to speak. We quench the Spirit. And so Paul wrote, I want to know Christ and experience His mighty power. And then Paul added in Philippians 3:10 and 11, and I want to suffer not for Him, but with Him. Who wants to suffer? If we had a sign-up sheet and at the top of the list it said, suffer, most of you would look, I ain't signing that. I guarantee you, you are going to suffer, whether you sign up or not. Because Jesus says growth, spiritual growth, emotional growth, mental growth. We don't grow without suffering. Suffering reminds us of our humanity, our frailty, our shortcomings, all of that. And suffering brings us to our knees and says, God, I can't, you can. So Paul said, I want to know who Jesus is. I want to know Him intimately. I want to experience His power as I suffer through life. Because it's then that I get to know Him deeper and better. You see, we need to understand these concepts, because for many of us, we look at that abundant life and this is what we think. Jesus, you're my kind of like my granddaddy in heaven, or my grandma, if you want to use the grandma phrase. Rhonda bought this a while back when the grandkids came. She puts it out when the kids come over. You can do whatever you want at grandma's house. Well, that's not really true. You know why I know that's not really true? Because sometimes when they do something they shouldn't do, grandma don't say, okay, that was nice. The last time they spent the night, I'm on the way taking them back home. And as they're on the way home, I got a call from Rhonda because, I had to go back. One of them forgot something. Rhonda went up to get it. She found out that the room that they slept in was a disaster. When I say a disaster, it was trashed. I heard her on the phone. I'm like, oh, y'all are in trouble. Y'all are in deep trouble now. We met at the tire store, Bobby, to get the forgotten item. And I just said to them before I got there, y'all better apologize and say we ain't ever going to do that again. So what I'm saying is we have this idea of like a grandkid, that God's just here to bless us and give us anything we want or ask for. And that's not the way it works. He knows you. And if you know Him, your goal is to become more like Him, Jesus. So here's my question to you today. Do you know Jesus? Not here, but here. Have you truly surrendered to Him? If you